Hey everybody, it's me, your priestess, Lumen Sophia, Cristel de Pacheco. How are y'all doing today? I wanted to bring something up that I've been talking a lot about with my husband and with some folks in my life. You know, and this is like this idea of defund the police, and also bringing in other social services and so on. Now, the point of this video is not to talk about whether we should defund the police or the social services. It's not a Democrat or Republican conversation. And I know that people won't be able to help themselves. Okay, I'm going to ignore all those comments in case you can't help yourself. What I want to talk about specifically is learning how to observe social phenomenon through the lens of archetypes, through the lens of the invisible hand that is moving these things. Because to me, that is really what I hope, are aspiring to learn to do, is to move beyond the mundane and understand what is happening as a result. So the mundane is an expression of something happening that is psychological, that is spiritual. And so it's not about spiritual bypassing. I'm not asking you to spiritually bypass and just say, oh, we all can get along, and I mean, all that shit. That's not what I'm about. And anyone who's been following my videos, who knows me in person long enough, knows this is not what I'm about. What I am interested in, though, is looking at what is occurring and understanding what is the underpinning there. What is the psychology there, the sociological psychology? What is the spirituality there? So when I look at things, I always observe them as, what is the masculine principle here? What is the feminine principle here? And what are they doing, and how are they getting along or not getting along? How are they integrating or not integrating? And so on, right? Because ultimately, every single thing that is occurring on the planet, everything, can be broken down into the attempt to find integration and balance, which is the divine marriage, if we've heard that phrase before, which is the ultimate tantra, which is balance, right? How do we find balance? How can we, come together, right, in perfect harmony, and so on, with nature, within ourselves, with each other. And not in a way that we pretend and pretense, which is what I think a lot of our society is about the pretense of getting along, the performance of virtue, the performance of goodness. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the authentic and true integration and divine marriage that is desperately trying to occur here. I feel it is. We can take this all the way back to ancient times and look at it in modern times, but I'm talking about our modern society. So when I think about the whole idea of the police and also social services and defunding the police, what we're saying spiritually, in my point of view, is defund the masculine principle a little bit. Because the masculine principle, although, and I'm going to say this, it's controversial to say this, the masculine principle is what has taken pretty much all the risk in a lot of ways. It's taken all the risk, and as a result, it's become so individuated that now it's moving into the extreme imbalance of itself, which creates extreme, the extreme rugged individualism, which equals a profound narcissism, right? And what is narcissism? It's like a personality. It's a spiritual possession of the false self. In other words, the true self is sort of forever submerged, and by this false self that had to become that in order to survive, right? So we see that men are the ones who have created and shaped the world. They didn't do it alone. They needed women. They used women, whether it's for their wives or like the whore, right? The Madonna whore, and so on, to help enable them to create these roads, literally and figuratively, in the world. Religion is very masculine principle. The dogma of religion is very masculine principle. So what has occurred now is just what's going on is an extreme imbalance of the masculine principle, and the feminine principle has to pay the price as a result. Now, this is not a political statement. I would like to really ask you all to hear what it is I'm saying, where I'm coming from, which is a separate space of observing what is occurring politically, observing it without being attached to any one of these two cults. And I call them a cult because they are cults, the Republican cult or the Democratic cult. And just observe from a third point of view, unattached, right? Because that's really a way to be a spiritual kind of scientist, right? A spirit scientist. So when I look at what's occurring with the whole defund the police and bringing in social services, what I see there is also the attempt for the masculine and feminine principle to try to come together again, right? How can we do that? How can we, create balance between these two spaces? The social services, to me, represent the feminine principle, and the police represents the masculine principle, in my point of view. And what we see is occurring with these demands politically of defunding the police is defunding the masculine principle, which is not centering it anymore, right? All of that language, and now starting to allow the feminine to return into balance or also be part of the situation as well. Not only this, but let's bring this in too. Now I'm still, I'm not saying that I'm for or against defund the police. What I'm saying is symbolically what I see happening is what I've just explained. And so it'll be interesting to observe what happens if they do allocate resources from the police to social services. Then how are social services going to be prepared, make sure that they have a balance of a masculine principle within itself, right? To not walk into situations with complete naivete, because then they're going to get eaten, right? Because the world we live in wants to eat you. It's just the truth. I like to be realistic about the world we live in because that is the law of nature. We still live by the laws of nature. They're just hidden inside of the law of man, which is a farce. In a lot of ways, it's a farce. So it's just an interesting thing to contemplate. I wanted to share that with you. How can we see, and whatever happens between the police and the social services can be observed as what is happening in the collective and in the personal between the masculine and feminine principle as archetypes, So I just wanted to share this little video about that to present sort of a point of view that I haven't really seen anywhere. Maybe people are talking about it that way here and there. I haven't seen it, but I wanted to present another way to observe this political and social phenomena, and to observe it in a way that is archetypal and spiritual and psychological, and start that conversation. So anyway, hope I made myself clear. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop your comments down here in the comment box on Facebook, on my YouTube channel, or Instagram, wherever this video appears. All right, you guys, whatever you're doing today, I hope that you find some joy. See y'all later.